Good afternoon. Welcome to the March 11th Rotary meeting. Please remember to silence your cell phones.
Let us pray. Dear God, Lord, we come to you today and we're thankful for Rotary and what it means to our nation, what it means to our world. We thank you for allowing us to do the good work that it does, and we ask your continued blessings upon the club. Dear God, we lift our leaders up, we lift our political leaders, we lift our nation up to you, God, and we ask that your will be done. And dear God, Lord, bless this food for the nourish our bodies, and our bodies your service. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Amen. Join me in the pledge of the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And before we test the things we think, say, or do, first, is it true? Second, is it very false concern? Third, will it build friendship?
Thank you, William. As you sit down, don't forget the blue buckets. And we had $16 last week. Does anyone want to make an $8 match? We need two $8 matches or one $16 match. Okay, Tom, one more $8 one. Okay, Frank, thank you. Tom and Frank. Thank you for your matches. Visitors, we have a visiting Rotarian. Carly, want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Carl Walter. I'm visiting Rotarian from San Francisco Rotary No. 2. And we just recently relocated.
Awesome. Again?
Hi, Paul. It's Pauline Cameronville. She's a fellowship home. She's an avid gun user, so I decided to
Welcome. William, were there any prayer requests? No. Any other prayer requests? All right. Moving along. Announcements. Are there any announcements? All right. We do have member slips on the tables. And so now we'll keep going for an induction. So Angie, you want to come up? And Sky? You have your camera ready? Bad timing. There you go.
All right. It won't hurt.
Not for long.
Yeah.
Fellow Rotarians, it's my privilege and pleasure today to welcome into our membership into the club Sky guests, whose name was proposed by Angie Martin and Karen Brooks. The proposals have been reviewed in accordance with the Constitution and bylaws of the club. Sky, we now proceed to admit you into the membership into the Rotary Club of Milledgeville, and so to the Fellowship of Rotary throughout the world. It has already been explained to you that the ideal of Rotary is service. Our principal motto is service above self, and the object of this club and all Rotary clubs is to encourage and foster this ideal as a basis of worthy enterprise. Now I have the pleasure of asking Angie, your proposer, to pin on the Rotary emblem. Welcome, Rotarians. Congratulations. Okay, moving right along, I'm going to introduce our speaker. Colin served in the U.S. Air Force as a linguist and communications specialist. He graduated from the University of Phoenix with a BS in business management and 2 AAS degrees from the Community College of the Air Force in information systems management and communications. Following his military service, he was director of volunteer services and recruiter at the Oconee Regional Medical Center for 11 years. Colin shot competitively in the Marine Corps Junior Rifle Team and the Air Force Rifle Team. He's been an NRA certified rifle and pistol instructor for 11 years. Colin has been a financial advisor since 2011 and joined Protective Financial Services in 2015. Colin provides personal financial planning and retirement income advice to individuals and businesses through Pro Equities Incorporated, a member of FINRA and SIPC. Colin and his wife Jennifer have served on mission trips to Nepal and Uganda, and they enjoy hunting, fishing, and riding motorcycles. So welcome, Colin. Just a second to get you. Set up here.
Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
If y'all can hear me okay, I'm going to stand right here. I want to talk to you about gun safety and a little bit about Georgia state law and how it applies to firearms. So we've got 3 slides that I'm going to go through with you. Relax, because it's only 3. We're not going to do that by PowerPoint. But the first one is I want to always cover these 3 rules whenever I do a speaking engagement on guns and firearms here. These are the 3 fundamental rules that apply to anybody at any time being anywhere around firearms. And so if you always follow these 3 rules there, you're going to be in a safe situation around guns. When I do my classes, I talk with people of all experience levels about firearms, or whether they have or haven't. And I always want to reassure people about these 3 rules and how they apply. Because at first glance, they appear to be real simple and straightforward, but there's a little bit of difference to them. So watch this. The first one, always keep a gun pointed in a safe direction. That may be determined on where you are. So for example, if you're in my house, which is a 2-story house, and you're downstairs, pointing the gun up is not a safe direction because you may have somebody upstairs. Likewise, if you're in a house and there's people in other rooms, like that gentleman in the hallway right there, pointing it out that way towards a hallway or another room is not a safe direction. So it takes just a little more thought to what you do with that gun as far as pointing it in a safe direction there. The same thing when you're on the gun range. When you're out there and you're shooting, you have to think about this is down and towards the ground is a safe direction, as well as forward can be a safe direction because there's usually dirt berms or embankments around there that would stop a bullet if you accidentally shot the gun. However, pointing it up is not a safe direction because you pulled that trigger and accidentally fired the gun, it can travel a long way. Here's my first question for you. If I used a .22 caliber pistol and pointed it just slightly above level and pulled the trigger, how far do you think it would go? Yeah, over a mile. It can actually travel over a mile. So we've got no control over where that goes when it leaves. So we have to watch out for the safe direction on it. Okay? Always keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. How many of you have seen a TV show or a movie where somebody's got their finger on the trigger and they're waving that gun all over the place, pointing it at people or wrong directions? That just is a red flag indicator that that person has no firearm safety training whatsoever. And so I tell people it's your responsibility when you're around other people, if you see them do that, stop them, because you're looking out for your safety as well as the people around you like that. The proper placement on that finger, your trigger finger, should either be on the frame of the gun or on the trigger guard. And you don't put it into the trigger guard until you're actually bringing it up and you're ready to shoot. So that's the proper place on where to put your finger. The last one is always keep it unloaded until it's ready to use. If you're transporting a gun in your car and you're going to the range or you're going hunting like that, keep it unloaded. If you're carrying the gun in your car for personal protection, keep it loaded because now it's ready to use. The same thing about when you have it in your house. If you're keeping a gun for personal protection in your house, it should be loaded there. If you're not, and it's just being stored, then keep it unloaded. It's the gun owner's responsibility to be safe. And if you follow these 3 rules, you'll be safe. Does anybody have any questions on those?
You mentioned if you have a gun in the home, you keep it loaded, but I've got conflicting advice as to whether you should be one as a chamber.
Well,
What's your opinion?
it depends on you and your comfort level of having one in the chamber of the gun there. If you feel that you're competent in the handling of the gun and can chamber it properly there in a rapid manner for protection, then you certainly can do that. So, I've got grandkids, and so anytime the grandkids are coming over to my house, I unload and put away the gun that I have for personal protection. So to me, anytime I have children coming over, I'm going to do that for the safety, because I'm the responsible gun owner. It's up to me to do that. But any other gun, that gun that I have for personal protection is going to be loaded with one in the chamber. It's a good question. The other one is, depending on your comfort level, where are you going to keep that gun if it is loaded there? Some people keep it in the bedside, stand beside the bed, or chest of drawers or something like that. Always keep it in the same location, but it's up to you to determine that. You've got to feel comfortable with that. Okay? All right. One more question for you. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Is there a website that you think that will keep you like as far as gun laws, big states? So if you're traveling from Florida, you travel to Alabama, and you get a gun in my car.
Absolutely. Yeah. The website that you want to do is NRA, National Rifle Association, ILA, Institute for Legislative Action.org. And that website, they have a map on there. So you click on it, and it shows the reciprocity for all the states. So you click on Georgia, and it'll tell you all the states that recognize Georgia's right to carry there. And that's what we're going to talk about when we talk about Georgia state law. There is basically, there's 38 states that recognize each other's gun laws to certain extents. But it's up to you as the gun owner to know, if you're going to go to Florida, can you carry in Florida? The answer is yes. But to look at that website there for that. The other website that I want to give you is one called GeorgiaCarry.org. And that one goes through Georgia laws, specifically in plain English, about where and when and how you can carry or not carry. Okay? And so that's a real good thing to know. Let's see. There we go. All right, so here's other rules to keep in mind when we're talking about gun safety. Know your target and what's beyond your target. If I'm shooting any caliber gun, it will easily shoot through a piece of plywood with a target on that. So I've got to know not only what I'm shooting at, but what's behind it, because I could very well hit something else there behind it. You need to know how to use your gun properly. Many times people buy a gun first time, and they need to know how to figure out how to use that. The beauty of it is nowadays, YouTube has all kinds of videos from the manufacturers on there, so you can learn more about taking your gun apart for cleaning it, as well as storage, things like that. But also check your owner's manual. And so use the owner's manual, because it gives you very good information, and they come with all brand new guns. So you should have one. Know how to use the gun safely. And again, that's from your owner's manual and the YouTube videos. Use only the correct ammunition for your gun. Some people may have told you, oh, you can use this different one, or this one will work okay in that. Don't believe it at all. Use only the specific caliber ammunition for your specific gun. And that applies to rifles, pistols, and shotguns. Okay? Eye protection and ear protection. Does anybody know what the noise level of a .22 caliber is if you fire that, the decibel rating? It's about 115 decibels. Does anybody know what level noise rating your you start having hearing loss? 85, that's right. Yeah, and so people say, oh, 22, that's not bad. We can shoot that without ear protection. Every time you pull the trigger, you're causing damage to your hearing. Once you damage it, you don't get it back. So please remember that. Just wear earphone, even phone earplugs. Some people are very sensitive to noise. Wear the plugs and then wear the headphones on top. So that works well there. No alcohol or drugs before or while shooting. I'll leave that one just like it is. Then also, depending on the type of activities that you're shooting, you may need other safety things. I recommend glasses, especially safety glasses, or if you're wearing sunglasses or even just regular prescription eyeglasses like that, because some types of targets that you're shooting at may have kickback as far as from the shooting and hitting the target. Yeah. Okay. Any questions on any of those? Okay. All right. I'm going to just be quiet for a second and let you read that. I've already alluded to that in what I said. The second to the last sentence is the most important one to me in this. It's the gun owner's responsibility to learn and follow all applicable laws that pertain to the purchase, possession, and use of firearms. So it's up to us as gun owners to be responsible and know when and where we can carry and how to use the gun properly. So I'm going to use that as my segue here. When we're talking about Georgia state laws for gun carry, there's three main places that you can carry a gun without a carry permit. Can anybody tell me one of them? In your car, because it's an extension of your property. Your house. Not only at your house, but on your property, to any property line. So it's not just in your house, it's your whole property. Last one.
Business.
Your business, yes. Anywhere, if you're a business owner, you set the rules. If you work for a business and they give you permission to carry like that, then it applies to the boundaries of that property, not just the business itself like that. So those are the three areas in Georgia, according to Georgia state law, that you can carry without a carry permit. And I know a lot of people say it's a concealed carry permit, but it's not correct. If you look at the carry permit, you can carry open or you can carry concealed. So it's applicable to both. So now tell me somewhere.
It can be concealed in your car.
Can it?
It can be concealed.
It can be. Did y'all hear that?
Without a permit.
Right. Yeah. If you're carrying in your car, you can carry open, meaning like sitting on the seat or the dash like that, or you can carry it concealed in the console or glove box or something like that. Both of them apply to that. Okay. So now, give me an example of a place that I would have to have a carry permit to carry.
Movie theater, grocery store.
Movie theater, grocery store, like that, a restaurant. Okay, church, yep. Give me an example of a place that you cannot carry with a permit. Courthouse, driver's license place. Technically a public gathering or a speech or a presentation or like a football game, things like that, you're not supposed to carry there. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about the carry permit? Okay. There's a brand new House Bill 218, that's being worked on or being proposed right now that is working on reciprocity and a universal carry there. So every state that has it, that it would make it equal across the board for carry. And so keep an eye on that in your Georgia law and see how that is going and go.
I have a question.
Yes.
When you say you can carry it in the vehicle,
Yes.
is a boat applicable to the vehicle?
Yes. Yep.
Don't drink it.
Yeah. That is, it is true. It applies because it's your personal vehicle, it's your property. So you're carrying that. Okay. Let me add or tell you one more about carrying. Many times I get questions about how to carry. And there's many choices because you can carry on a holster that's exposed and outside like that, but they also make pocket holsters. And in Georgia, under Georgia state law, any firearm that you're carrying has to be holstered. So it can't just be in your pocket rattling around. It shouldn't be like that. It's supposed to be in a holster. And so that's something to think about is if you're going to carry. The other thing is if you're going to carry in your vehicle, I want to encourage you to consistently carry it in the same spot in the vehicle. Don't put it in the glove box and then put it in the console and then put it in the door. Because in a crisis situation, you don't want to have to think about where is it, how do I get it, how do I reach for it like that. It should always be in the exact same spot. Same thing if the ladies are carrying in their purse. It should be in a holster or a pocket that holds it the exact same way every single time. And that way, when you have to reach for it, it's always the same location. Okay?
But it doesn't have to be holstered in the car.
I would say it should be there just to keep the gun secure. Because if in a crisis situation, you're not thinking or you shouldn't have to think. You should be able to reach and your hand hit it in the same manner every time you reach for it. If I'm carrying it in my truck, I have a holster secured so that I reach and my hand hits it in the exact same spot every time. Okay.
I have a question for the club. How many people here actually have a carry permit?
Welcome to Georgia. And I firmly believe in that you have that because technically it's under the Second Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, and it's also under the Georgia State Constitution that you have the right to exercise your rights to carry if you choose. It's not for everybody, but yeah, I think it's good. Now, one more for you here. Tell me a choice if you're going to go somewhere where you can't carry a gun. What can you do? Pepper spray, mace. Yeah, keep one of those. Because sometimes people get so focused on the gun, they don't think about other choices that could be available to them if they don't feel comfortable carrying a gun or they can't carry in certain locations.
What's the rules on that electric gun that shoots out?
The taser.
The taser? What are the rules with that?
They apply the same
As a gun?
to that, yes.
Yeah, it's not as a good one.
Yeah, I'm thinking about my daughters.
Yeah. But just remember that for the age limit was 21 for that as far as a firearm. Yeah. The last thing I want to point out here on this, and then I'll take questions, is some of the ways about safety and storage here. You hear a lot of people now, and the guns are required by law, when you buy a new gun, that it'll come with a lock or a cable guard to that. Please don't think about that as making it secure to have that when you're going to use that for personal protection. And the reason I say that is, how long would it take me to get from here to that gentleman if I'm the bad guy and I'm going after him? And how long would it take him to get out a key and unlock the cable and then load the gun like that? The bad guy's going to win with that. So for storage and transportation, when it's not in use, cables and locks and things like that are fine. But for your gun that's personal protection that you're carrying in use, it shouldn't be. Okay? Plastic and fabric gun cases. Gun cases come in all different shapes and sizes. If you're storing a gun for long-term storage, it should have enough airflow and openness around it to allow air to circulate there. If you've got a leather case, especially like an old Western leather holster like that, you don't want to leave the gun in it for a long period of time because leather contracts moisture, and moisture and gunmetal together is a bad combination. And so just think about that as if you're using a gun case for long-term storage. It should be plastic or fabric. Okay, and then metal boxes and gun cases like your big gun safes, thank you. Those They're great for long-term storage, but that shouldn't be where you're keeping your gun for personal protection, because again, it takes too long to get in there. Okay? All right. Any questions on any of that?
Fast forward, what do you think the gun laws in our nation are going to look like? You know, I know that the current administration's there's a bunch of stuff, there's a bunch of rhetoric, but realistically, non-political, just what do you think the gun laws? I mean, you're not noticing.
Yeah.
But what do you think gets passed or better?
I think that if we as gun owners don't stand up for our gun rights, that things could dramatically change. Because there's a lot of proposed laws that are out there that could radically change what you're allowed to keep as a gun owner and how you would be registered with the state or the federal government. And again, that's illegal there and right now. Right there. And here's an interesting little fact. In the United States right now, there's about 135 million gun owners there. It went up last year in 2020 by about 24%. And the gun ownership and ammo sales have just skyrocketed. And so there's a lot of people very concerned about their safety and personal protection. How many people do you think are in the National Rifle Association gun membership? Only about 5 million. And so it's a very small number of people that are gun owners that are being aware of their gun rights and responsibilities. And so I think there's a very wide gap between the two. And it's up to us as gun owners to know our laws and know what's going on in our state or the federal level about laws that pertain to us as gun owners. So it pays for us to be aware and speak to our representatives about that. Good question. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
If I'm carrying in my car,
Yes.
and I'm stopped by a police officer,
Yes.
what are my responsibilities
Sure.
in that regard?
So very good question. I've had this happen here. Think about this now. We got to remember that when we're stopped at a DWI check or they're doing an insurance check or something like that, and you pull up and stop, you are completely within the law to be carrying in your car. So you can't think about it like, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble, because you're not. You're a law-abiding citizen. But what I tell everybody is when you have your hands on the steering wheel, 10 and 2 o'clock, so to speak, you're there, and the officer comes over, when they look in and ask you for your license, you don't have the obligation, but you can, as a courtesy, tell them, hey, I'm a licensed carrying gun owner, I'm carrying. Hands on the steering wheel, don't reach for it or anything like that. Hands on the steering wheel. I can tell you that law enforcement wants to go home at the end of the day. They don't want a problem. And you as a law-abiding citizen don't want a problem either. So stay calm. You're completely within your right. I had got stopped at an insurance check, one like that. And I had my hands like this. And he shined his flashlight and he asked me for my license and insurance. And he says, is there anything I need to know about? I said, well, I want to let you know that I have a gun in the car. I'm a licensed carrier. And he looked down. I told him where it was. I didn't reach for it, but I told him. He shined his light on it. Then he asked me for my license. He looked at my license and gave it back and said, have a nice night. He didn't say anything further about it. Again, you're a law-abiding citizen. And so just remember that. Yeah. Okay, so oh, yes.
You have a coastal towers permit.
Did y'all hear that question? Did they talk about the right or duties to retreat? Under Georgia state law, back about 10 years ago, Georgia enacted and accepted, they copied the Castle Doctrine law from Florida that said that as a gun owner and a personal property owner, you have no duty or responsibility to retreat from a situation where you feel that your life is being threatened. Previously, it was that way. And they said they wanted you to go from the bedroom and go hide in the closet and hope that they didn't take too much stuff. there. Under the Castle Doctrine, which was enacted in Florida and then adopted in Georgia, they said there's no duty to retreat, and you are completely within your rights to use force up to and including deadly force to protect yourself and your property. And so that's a very good point. Thanks for bringing that up.
One more tree. My brother-in-law carried a pistol in his carry-on by mistake in an airport.
That's a problem.
What happens there? I understood if he had a valid pistol toters or concealed carry, they would give him the right to retreat from that.
Yeah, well, but they would give him the right to take that and take it out or put it in his car there. But remember I said, whose responsibility is it? It's the gun owner's responsibility to know and be safe about that stuff and not put themselves in those situations like that, because they get feisty about it.
When his pistol toters permit concealed carry was expired. But put it this way, he lost his gun and he went to the popo.
Yes, because whose responsibility is it? It's the gun owner's responsibility. So you have to know these things. So yeah, that's it. Let me give you just a show of hands. How many people have heard somebody say, "Oh, if a bad guy's coming through the door, I'm going to shoot him and drag him in the house"? You heard that? Under Georgia state law, that's not an issue, because remember, your property, where you're allowed to carry, extends to your property lines. It's not just your house. And if you, no, this was like 10 or 12 years ago. Under Georgia state law, if you shoot somebody and you drag them from that, guess what? You just broke the law because you've tampered with a crime scene like that. And that's bad. You don't want to do that.
So I have a question. So I actually had an experience where somebody tried to break through my front door. And I was able to get my shotgun and pistol and scream, you come through.
That's right.
But if I had shot him through the door, would I have been in trouble?
Technically, yes. The question is whether the district attorney's office is going to look to press any charges. And so just because a police officer arrests you, all they're doing is stopping you. It's whether or not the district attorney's office is going to press charges on that. Because let's say that I had a car wreck in his front yard at 2 in the morning, and I'm pounding on his door for help, and he shoots through the door.
That's funny too.
See, yeah. But you see, the point is that you have to know what's going on. You can't just arbitrarily start shooting. And I'm going to give you one more example of this too. I'm at Walmart, and I get out of my truck and I'm walking in the door, and there are 2 people fighting in the Walmart parking lot, and it's a knockdown, drag out, and they're just at it. Am I legally able to try and break up that fight?
Are you able?
Able, yes, I can. I don't have to. I can choose to intervene in that. I didn't say shoot. I just said intervene. I can say, hey, stop. I've got a gun. You need to break it up, and do something like that. But I can't pull my gun and just shoot the person that's winning or losing, because I have no idea who's the good guy or the bad guy. One of them could be an undercover officer. I have no idea. So you can't just randomly shoot somebody.
One of them turns on you.
Yes, because under law, the Good Samaritan law says that you can intervene to help somebody and render assistance at any point, and that there's no fear of legal repercussions for that. But you have to make sure you know what you're doing before you do that.
Well, that's the same situation. If you pull your firearm just to stop the fight, if it's out of hand, somebody could really get.
Yes, yes,
Their life,
yes.
their life, you pull the gun, you don't pull the trigger. I'm
Well,
saying you pull it right.
And see, here's the thing is that it falls under is where are you, when you pull that gun out, where are you going to point it and do that? Because just pointing a gun at somebody is a crime, and you can be in trouble for that. So it has to be very clear that there's a bad situation going on and you're trying to break it up. The other thing that I would encourage you at any point, if you ever are in a situation like that, a crime is occurring, is like you did, is announce it and say, hey, I've got a gun, don't come in here, don't come any closer, I've got a gun. I didn't necessarily point it at him, but I had it in my holster, I had it in my hand, it was at this, what we call low ready position, to say, don't come any closer. Because when I bring it up and point it, now I'm getting into the gray zone of gun ownership and legal obligations. Okay. But by announcing that, they can't say, oh, I didn't know what was going on. And also by you announcing that, you now have witnesses around you that said, hey, I heard him say, don't come any closer. So you see how that applies?
And it doesn't necessarily matter if they're armed or not.
No, it does not. It's the perception of a threat of harm to you. That doesn't matter whether they have no gun or no weapon like that. It's the threat, the perception of the threat. Okay.
I guess I got one comment, one question. I guess if I carry a gun in a vehicle, I've got one in my vehicle, got a magnetic holster, it's got the guard on it, I've got one that's got the guard, it's exposed, true. But now I found a situation where as I'm carrying weapons, I could carry I didn't carry it in most places I'm in. So I didn't want to leave it in the car, I felt unsafe in the car. So it was a situation I was in my mind, I got an order. Is a gun, I guess a console safe. But the bit when I'm, because if I get a ball game or something, I don't want to leave the gun just laying out in the car or, you know.
Yeah.
My car broke into a couple times with the line on this. That's point. So I bought one. I didn't know that was the only option. I thought.
No, it's a good option. I would say never leave your gun in a visible spot, because that's just asking for somebody to break a window and take it. But yeah, gun safe in your car, it can be a good option.
The second thing is I've seen somebody who's got come out on a case or whatever, and I've seen people that got arrested or been arrested for, you know, get altercated, road rage, whatever. Somebody pulls a gun, they just wave the gun. That point, the gun just wave. Just shows that I have a gun and pulls it up and says, next thing another guy's getting arrested. It's like to get the couple up north that was standing in front home had a gun, and now, you know, they're trying to prosecute those. So, but you see, you have to pull the trigger, you don't have to. But
yep. See, here's the thing: is that it's the perception of an immediate threat of bodily harm. It doesn't say that it was occurring, but it's the perception of that. So that couple standing in St. Louis there, where they had that mob that was advancing on and coming right up to their house, to their property, that was an immediate threat, and they could stay on their property. But it wasn't to the point where they could shoot somebody from a distance. Now, from me to you, I'm not an immediate threat here unless I've got a gun there. But if I am half this distance away, now it's an immediate threat. And you could pull the gun to say, don't come any closer. I'm worried, I'm in fear of my life. Don't come any closer there. Does that make sense?
Now, not national or state, so like, are their state laws different than our state law?
That's why you need to go to that NRA ILA website, is to know, because in Georgia, this is what we're talking about, is Georgia state law. Yeah.
Colin, how many states are fighting retreat? Because I know there's several that went through riots that were not fighting retreat, and
Basically, if you're thinking about where can you feel safe carrying a gun, throughout the southeast and across through Texas is areas that are safe that you can carry. You still need to know your rights. If you go up there in the northeast and across the top, it's the opposite there. So all the way through to the Midwest, Illinois, Ohio, Iowa, their laws are much more restrictive, and it's your responsibility to know that state there, because in some of them, they will take your gun and they will arrest you.
So what do you do if you're traveling through some of these states? What do you do with it?
If you're traveling through some of these states that have them, the best situation that you can hope for is if you read and that state does not allow it in any form, don't bring it, because if you get stopped, they're going to arrest you. And the other one is if you say, well, I'm going to risk it, I'm going to take it, then make sure it's in a locked, kind of gun carrying safe or carrying case, a locked case, and that there's no ammunition present. What I would do is lock it in the trunk, put the ammunition in a box or locked in my glove box. Because at your very best bet, you're going to say, look, I did everything I could and I'm still taking it through. You just got to hope that they're going to be willing to accept that, because states like Massachusetts and Maryland, Illinois, New York, they don't play. They'll just arrest you. So, you know, it can be really bad. Okay. Any other questions? I think I probably went over. Sorry. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you so much.
So, not everybody.
Yes, please. There's some draft packets there. If your picture's wrong or your information's wrong, please check it and correct it and give it to either myself or Jack. All right. Carla, thank you for visiting. And Colleen, thank you for visiting. Any other announcements? Okay, if not, we are adjourned.